Guys, first of all, I want to basically talk about my journey to being debt-free. So, I am debt-free with an asterisk. The reason why I have an asterisk is because I still owe about $20,000 in debt for my student loans. And the reason why I haven't paid it off because I was hoping that, you know, the student loan forgiveness would basically be approved by the Supreme Court, and obviously it wasn't, so that's something I have to work on tackling. I want to share my debt-free journey with you guys because I feel like there's not a lot of people talking about their debt-free journey, and also like I feel like I learned so much being debt-free, and it's really helped me to be the person that I am today. My drive, my awareness, so much about myself has come from basically having the mindset of being debt-free. So just a little bit about myself. Like, I went to undergrad and I basically was lucky enough to have some scholarships while I was in school, and even then, like towards my last year, I had to take like $10,000 in student loans. And then I took a gap year. I worked for a few years. Well, actually worked for a year, and then I went to law school. And law school, again, even with scholarships, there's like, they covered tuition, I believe, and the rest was supposed to come from somewhere. That's why I had to take out student loans. So basically took out student loans, and by the time I graduated from law school, I added another probably like $70,000, $75,000 to my already expensive student loans. So in total, my student loans was about $85,000 coming out of law school. I also had like medical bills, and when I came out of school, like I was basically like living off my credit card because I had to, like, once I graduated, there was a gap in between when I started working and when I graduated. So around that time, I still had to feed myself. I had moved back home. I had basically tried to reduce my expenses as much, but even then, I still had to live on credit cards because I did not have a job and I wasn't getting paid. So that was really like the first part, like me being like debt free. Like that was really the first part of me like basically taking account of all my debt at that time. So recently graduated, I moved back home. Luckily for me, I had a job lined up from law school. And so it was going to be in the city of Dallas, and so I was looking forward to that. But even then, I still had credit cards. All in all, I had about $85,000 in student loans. I forgot to add. Right after I graduated, I was like, oh, I'm getting money. Decided to fix all of my cavities. So I had some medical bills as well. So it was like about $2,000 in medical bills, about $85,000 in student loans, and about, I would say, $6,000 in credit cards. I was spending like out in Congress. And so I knew that coming off the bat, I really wanted to focus on my debt. I was in school. I learned the power of compound interest. I learned the power of interest. And one thing that I've learned is you don't want to be on the other end of interest. You want to be on the receiving end than on the giving end, because that means your hard-earned income is going to buying somebody else's yacht. I always say that all the time. And for me, I felt like student loans was that. And you know, I had done the repayment plan, and it said it would take me about 10 years to pay off my student loans. Can you imagine? And I was very poised on doing that in 2. So I decided it was very, very intentional for me to come up with a game plan. So I came up with the game plan. I knew of this guy. I think most people know about him. His name is Dave Ramsey. I didn't defer to him initially. I basically contacted a financial planner and be like, hey, they asked me what my goals were. I said, I want to be a millionaire by 30. And she never contacted me after that. And so I was like, I paid money for someone to tell me about how I can basically build my financial wealth, and I might as well just try something that's free. So my friend in law school had talked about Dave Ramsey. That was my first time actually being introduced to Dave Ramsey. Never heard of him before while I was in law school. So I remembered there's some dude named Dave, whatever, the baby steps. So I looked up the baby steps, and it basically said, you know, you have to basically, you know, pay off your student loans. I was really hesitant because a lot of the principles basically sounded like it goes against what you've learned. What we learn is you need to start investing early, right? You need to start putting money in your 401k early. You need to start putting money in the stock market early. And I like, for me, it was like, oh no, you gotta pay your debt off first. As being debt conscious as I was, I knew that something about it just felt really right. It felt really right. Like being debt conscious, I knew, I was like, oh, this guy's saying something that makes sense. Because it doesn't matter how much money you have and how much you work, the fact that you're paying interest, you're losing on potential money that you can use to be making interest on other endeavors. So I wasn't hesitant. I was like, okay, fine. Initially, because this was all during COVID, I was just piling cash. I was piling cash because seeing cash in my bank account when I started working just made me feel so safe. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm saving so much money. I was living at home with my parents, which was also intentional. I was like, I didn't want to move to a new city. That means I had to move, pay for moving. I had to pay for rent. I had to pay for furniture. So in my mind, when I started this game plan, I knew that I wanted to spend some time saving as much as I could save so that I can just be ready to move, but also put a lot of money towards paying off my loans. Yeah, so I basically piled cash. I piled a bunch of cash. It was really, it came to a point where I had to be honest with myself. So I started my journey around 2021-ish. I would say 2021, like a few months after I started working. I just looked myself in the face. I was like, why are you piling this much cash? Like, if you're gonna go through this whole baby step process, you can't be Dave Ramsey-ish. You have to go all in. Did I do it? No, but I did do it, and I basically broke my first Dave Ramsey-ish with paying off my credit card. So I had my savings. Imagine just taking a chunk of your savings, which wasn't even that much in the first place, just putting it all towards your credit card, all $6,000 worth of credit card. It hurt my soul. It hurt my soul. I did that. That was the first thing I did. And I was like, oh, because now you don't have any more money. And that really jump-started me being committed into the Ramsey process. I think a lot of the Ramsey process is worth following. And so that's why I will give credit to the Ramsey process for creating a certain mindset for me. So one thing I want to say before moving forward is debt is not your friend. I know that America like publicized, oh, you should get this credit card, you should get this, you get points, all these stuff. Like, it really is not your friend. First, these companies are using whatever, points back. They're taking it from people who are defaulting, people who are not able to make their payments. They're using that to reward you as a person, because this is not free money. It's coming from somewhere, right? So these incentives are not free money. Second of all, you end up spending more than you need to when you have a credit card, because you think it's just a credit card and you pay it back, and at least you're paying the minimum. Third of all, everything becomes an emergency. Like, getting that hair became an emergency. Going on that trip became an emergency. And my mindset is I want to be in a position where I'm able to not be shackled by my profession, not be shackled by life, not be shackled by health, because I'm not able to be financially free. So that financial freedom, I feel like, gives me the ability to basically design my life how I wish to design it. So as someone who went to law school for 3 years, and trust me, it was really, really hard. When you decide to put yourself through such a straight years process, there's a mindset, you're like, okay, this is gonna be done in 3 years. And so when I started my debt-free journey, I had that mindset that, okay, this is going to be done in 2 years. I know my goal was 3 years because I wasn't making like crazy money. So it was 3 years to pay off close to $90,000 worth of loans. That was literally my mindset. So I basically had to get right with money. That was I feel like that was the point, that was a turning point for me. I knew I was all in at that moment. I was like, you couldn't tell me nothing. I'm going to pay off my debt. I was telling people, my friends, my family, a lot of them didn't take it serious. And I wasn't expecting them to take it serious. This is something that's it's not typically done. American culture is a credit culture. Like, it is very much a credit culture. Like, it is. Everybody has a credit card. So having my credit card balance become zero, I started piling up cash. All that money that I lost, I started piling up cash. Mind you, I decided that I was gonna stay, because COVID was such a blessing, I decided I was gonna stay at home with my parents. And this is one thing I was gonna say, I'm so grateful that I had supportive parents who didn't make living at home really hard. I know that for a lot of people that are trying to, you know, get ahead in life, sometimes they have to move out of their home because they're not in a great environment that fosters peace. They're not in a great environment that allows them to be themselves. I was really blessed with having parents like let me do me, that they were really nice to me and very supportive. So it was really a blessing for me. So I was very lucky to have parents that were very, very supportive. Now, when I started working, I was doing everything. Because I was living at home, I was eating out, I was drinking, I was living my best life. And so I basically spent a lot of money when I was home. But at some point I had to stop the bleeding, and I was very, very like concentrated about creating a budget. So that's when the budget lifestyle came in. I basically told myself, this is my goal. So with the Dave Ramsey process, you're supposed to save $1,000 and then put all of your money towards your debt. Now, mind you, I only had medical debt. I already paid off my credit card, and now I had what's it called? I had my student loans. So I had to basically close my eyes again and paid off my medical debt. So now I'm at ground zero. So I had to basically put myself on a budget and created a budget for myself. Like, okay, I'm gonna save this much every month. But if I'm able to save this much every month, considering that I don't pay rent, I will be able to save this much by the end of the year. Which is something that I did. And luckily for me, I've been one of the person that I don't give two pennies, 2 dimes, $2 billion what people think about me in certain aspects. Like, I don't care what my parents think about me. They called me cheap. They called me like, I was called a bunch of names, right? But I don't care about what people call me, because when it comes to finances, I'm very, very principled. So as a kid, and even as an adult, I've always made it a point, like one of my biggest things that I didn't want to do was have a car note. If anyone knows the struggle of having a car note and worrying about paying off your car note, and like if anything happens, something bad happens, I did not have a car note, y'all. It gave me so much freedom, because like I remember, I would say this, I remember in law school, I had classmates that had car notes, and when the financial aid didn't drop, a lot of them were worried about how they would pay their car notes, because when you're in law school, you don't work, right? And people were worried about how to pay their car notes because their financial aid did not drop in time. So me just knowing that, I've just never been interested in having a car note. So luckily for me, I didn't have a car note. I rode a Honda Civic, and while in law school, I was driving a 1999 Toyota. And then I upgraded to a 2009 Honda Civic. But now, check me out. I'm gonna tell you guys what I'm driving later. Because I feel like sometimes you have to see the results for you to believe that it is possible for you. I'll show you what I'm driving later. But I basically drove my hoop-de-doo. People talked about it. The AC was okay. Your car's always making noise, this and that. Listen, my mind, I was like, in 2-3 years, I'm still gonna be driving this car. By 2023, I'm gonna, drive this car. I'm gonna pay off my student loans, and because that was the biggest chunk of my debt, I'm gonna pay that off, and I'm gonna save up a new car. Now, the second thing that I would say about the Ramsey process is they basically encourage you to pay off your loans from smallest to largest. And then when you pay off the smallest one, you take whatever that's left and start adding it to your largest loan. So now that I've gotten rid of my credit card debt, I've gotten rid of my medical bill, I don't have a car note, everything I had was my student loans. All 850,000 of them, dollars of them. And so even with that, I did the Ramsey process where I targeted it from the smallest to the largest. If you have student loans, you know that those things are broken up by I think semesters. So I basically targeted it from smallest to largest. So I started off the process, jump started in 2021. I was working, and as I was working, I was focused on my student loans. I had to basically use a huge chunk of my money to basically pay for the bar exam for Texas, that also took money. Like I never used credit cards. Like if I wanted to do anything, I had to use my savings and the money that I had to pay for whatever I did. And then fast forward to September of 2021, this was the time COVID was getting better, and they're like, y'all need to bring yourself back to, to the office, and they wanted you to start coming in. So I made the decision to move. I moved to Dallas, Texas in September. I got an apartment. I was in a position where, and this is one thing I would tell people, I was in a position where if I wanted to live downtown, I could have lived downtown. Even I'm not in the best apartment downtown, but I could have lived downtown if I wanted to live downtown. Texas market is great, or Dallas market is great because it wasn't that expensive to live downtown. But because I was really big on saving as much as I could, and I still wanted to be close to work because my work was downtown, I decided to basically live about 10 minutes away from downtown. I mean, it meant I was driving to work, but it was something that I felt like was needed for me to get to where I need to be. I think sometimes people are so in a rush to show like they already got it, that they end up falling into financial pitfalls earlier on, whereas they could just be fine doing something else. So I ended up living 10 minutes from downtown, and it saved me a bunch of money. Rather than paying like $2,000 or $2,500 for rent, I was paying like $1,300 for rent, which was great all in the same because it allowed me to be able to save more. And so, I mean, I would listen to Dave Ramsey's podcast every single day, literally was fired up, motivating myself. I was one of those people who was in the dilemma. When you listen to Dave Ramsey, he will tell you that you should make money on every avenue. First of all, my car was old. It was an old car, so I couldn't even Uber. Second of all, I worked in a firm that if you worked outside of the firm, you had to disclose that you work outside of the firm. So I wasn't even gonna take that risk. So I didn't have the opportunity to basically hustle in the sense. I was working for an accounting firm at that point. And so I decided that, after being with the firm for like a year, a year and a few months, I passed the Texas bar. And if you listen to, I think it's Ken Coleman, he always encourage you, like, your income is the fastest way to build wealth. Like, it's your wealth building tool. Like, if you reduce your expenses and you're basically paying $0, you need to also increase your income in order to basically put yourself in a position where you want to be. So it had me thinking, like, I need to start to grow my income, and it made me uncomfortable where I was. I'm not gonna lie, I really enjoyed my work environment. I was like, okay, I'm gonna be here for long term. I saw the potential where I was, but because I knew that the goal right now was for me to become debt free, I had to open myself to other opportunities. I had to open myself up to a different mindset. Like, hey, you love the work you're doing, but you can get paid more doing the same amount of work. So I started applying for opportunities for new roles, and I got really lucky. I really do think it's luck. It was because I was hungry. I was very hungry about paying off my debt. Like, I've already moved out of my parents' house. Not that I've already moved out of my parents' house. Like, I'm paying rent, I'm buying food, I'm paying for gas. Like, my expenses have basically gone up, and I just paid the moving cost. So I had to basically readjust my savings goals every month. And readjusting my savings goals means I was saving less, and I had to create new opportunities for myself to be able to tackle my debt. So first of all, I'm not the type of person that, I wasn't like raised with rich parents or nothing. Like, my parents were like, they're not like well-to-do, but I knew that I wanted to be in a certain position, and so I basically worked really hard to be where I was. Like, it came to the point, and it's very embarrassing to admit, it came to a point where, like, I didn't buy plates and spoons for a while because every money was supposed to go to the debt. That was like my mindset. I was so hungry. Like, I didn't like spend money buying a sectional. I bought this well, I got this little, like, not like $400 couch off of Amazon. Like, I didn't like go all out decorating. Like, I bought the essentials, like a Ninja blender, because you know, you need that. I bought the essentials, but there are certain things that I was like, okay, I'm going to forfeit and I want to get what I like by the time I'm ready. So that's what I did. And by the time I was looking for new roles, God was so good, first of all, because I don't think I would have gotten the opportunities that I did if not for him. But I also feel like, you know, just going through that debt-free journey kick-started this hunger in me. I was like, I need a better job. I need a better job that pays more. And I really got it. So I ended up getting a job at a law firm, and I worked at, and it was unexpected because I really was not anticipating. I had basically decided I didn't want to practice law at some point, and I wanted to, law school was hell. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, law school was hell, and I was like, I don't know if I want to be a lawyer. I don't know if this is for me. But then I got to a point where I realized, like, okay, maybe I should, before even closing the door on this opportunity of being a lawyer, at least to test it out. So I ended up going to a law firm. It was one of the best decisions that I ever made. So now this is why I love the Dave Ramsey process. Because of that tenacity, because I was so invested on growing how much I could put out on my debt, I was able to get a job that basically paid me enough for me to reduce my timeline. My goal was to pay off my debt by 2023. Baby, I literally paid it off by the end of 2022. Like, I'm talking about September 2022. That's how much, like, that blessing fast pace. And even after I started making money, even in this new job, I still acted like I was still in law school. I think a lot of people, especially when you come out of professional school, even when you come out of college, there's this need to show like, oh, I'm who I am. I did not live like I was a lawyer, and I did not live like I was working at an accounting firm. I literally lived like someone who was still in college, because I knew like this short-term goal is gonna put me in a place that I would need to be long-term. That's to say, I basically lived like I didn't move downtown. I was still living where I was living. And even when I had the chance to move up apartment, I chose to still stay within a certain budget because I had a goal. I was gonna pay off the student loans by fire, of course. And it made me, I feel like it made me a better person. It made me a better visionary for myself. It made me very, very aware of all the hoops I had to jump to basically get where I am. It made me value money more. It made me understand priorities. It made me closer in faith. It made me driven. It made me ambitious. It just being debt-free literally, like, what is the word? Being debt-free literally empowered my life. Like, I was so, I mean, I guess they say gazelle intense. I was so fired up. Like, I was fired up. I believe I could do anything. I believed it. And I really felt like, because I believed I could be debt-free, I made it happen. And everything lined up to make that happen for me as well. And so that's why I want to share my story with you guys, because like the moment you believe that you can be debt-free, you will find any reason to become debt-free. And I want to add something in that helped me pay off my debt. I had to liquidate my stocks. I liquidated as much as I could. I liquidated all of my stocks. I was very active in the stock market, so I had some money in the stock market. That's something Dave Ramsey would say, like, get rid of, like, basically having debt and then having money in the market is like borrowing so that you can buy stocks. You know, borrowing and having interest so you can buy stocks. So I liquidated some of my stocks. I also stopped contributing to my 401k for the last 2 years. I didn't contribute to my 401k. It was like zip. I started initially, but zip, because really everything should go to your loans. And I would say, like, I'm very, very happy I made that decision. My life has changed because of that. Like, I now actually like practicing law because I just opened my mind to other, like, to opportunities. Another blessing that came out of paying off my student loan is I was able to upgrade my car by January of 2023. and I got a really, really nice car. So now I'm gonna tell you guys what car I got. I'm gonna show you guys my cars. Like my Honda would look like this, and my Honda looked like that after I saved my emergency fund, because you should save your emergency fund. So Dave Ramsey would say save your emergency fund from like 3 to 6 months. So I basically saved my emergency fund and then decided once that was saved to start saving up for a car. Now, I'm gonna say this because I do want, the reason I'm sharing this with y'all is because I want you to understand that, like, I'm not perfect. My journey has not been perfect. Like, I love to travel. I'm going to tell you, I love to travel. Even during the time I was paying off loans, I had to show up for friends, family, and I had to figure out a way to make it work. Dave Ramsey would say, don't do any of those things. And I agree. I'm just a people pleaser and I probably should know better. And I feel like if I had basically just been like gung-ho and be like really, really gung-ho, I would have said no to a lot of things. But I didn't say no to everything, but I said no to a lot of things. But I also was able to prioritize things that were important to me, like family and friends. And so I basically traveled around that time. I was able to travel and it slowed my process down, I'm not gonna lie. I went to Nigeria, which was not a good idea, but I wanted to be with family. So I basically went to Nigeria. I went to Dubai for a friend's wedding. When you're going through the debt-free process, debt-free journey, you really have to say no. And so I'm gonna highlight that that was something that I didn't do as well. And because my journey wasn't perfect. Like some days, even when I would budget, my budget wasn't like, my budget was not adding up. It was not adding up. And I always budget, and it was not adding up. So the whole process is really a journey. And if you're not the best at it, that doesn't mean you give up. You have to keep going, finding a reason to basically keep going and follow the baby process. Because and so back to this car. So when I decided that I was debt free with an asterisk, thank you Supreme Court, thank you SCOTUS, thank you SCOTUS. When I decided that I wanted to get a new car, I knew I wanted to treat myself, because if you know the kind of car I've been driving for the past, like, you know, almost 2 years, I decided I wanted to get something nice, something luxury. Like, I don't have any more debt. I feel like I could pay premium gas. Like, I was really open to like spoiling myself. Even then, I didn't go to a lot and take out a brand new car. Like, I saved up money. I decided to get a used Mercedes. So this was in 2023 when I made the purchase, and I bought a Mercedes that was like 2020. So like, I wasn't like trying to like go off the lot and drive off with a brand new car. I could only afford a 2020 Mercedes. It doesn't even have a sunroof. But I'm not complaining about that because the car is really nice. It was such an upgrade from where I came from, and it was paid off. It was paid off. My car was paid off. I bought it cash, and to today I'm so surprised that I was able to do something like that. Saved up for it and bought it cash. And I don't have any debt. I really don't. And so like, this is really my journey. I really just want to share with you guys, like, you are able to be debt free. You're not in competition with anyone. Let me tell you, IG will make you feel like you need to go buy new outfits. I had the help of a lot of people in my life that encouraged me, but I also had to learn how to be content. I didn't buy new stuff. I didn't buy designer stuff. I didn't buy a bunch of stuff. Now, I can afford to buy it. I bought it. You know, I bought these things now because I already put myself in a position where I'm not worried, oh, I have to pay off my credit card because I wanted to buy something I couldn't afford. And when I do buy it, I buy it cash. I really do buy it cash. And I think that I'm not worried that if I lose my job, something bad will happen to me, because I have 4 months of emergency fund if something bad happens to me. I know that I'll be fine. I'll be able to pay my bills. Like, my life overall is literally stress-free. The only thing that stressed me, and we'll not even talk about it on this channel, but that's the only thing that stressed me is not anything to do with finances. And I feel like I've set myself up to have such a great future, because now, you know, I picked back, you know, saving for retirement. I basically started reinvesting, and I switched my investments from individual stocks to like mutual funds. And that's all from learning about the process of basically becoming financially literate and understanding, gaining financial knowledge. So there's a lot of, you know, a lot of work that has gone into me being where I am right now, and I'm really grateful that my debt-free journey kick-started where I'm at. So I'm sharing this story with you all because I think it is possible to be debt-free in 2 years. I think it's possible to be debt-free in 3 years. I think it's possible to be debt-free within a year. I think it's possible, like being debt-free is a possibility, and we don't have to live paycheck to paycheck. Like I watched my parents live paycheck to paycheck. I watched my mom take out like credit cards, you know, to basically be able to help me and my sisters kind of like be in like, you know, kind of even the playing field so we don't feel like we're lacking. I watch all these things, and that's something that when I was growing up, I felt like I didn't want to put myself in, and I didn't want my own children to have to experience their parent working paycheck to paycheck. And I feel like with us, we have a unique opportunity and a unique chance to basically change that narrative for our own kids, our own family, you know, to kind of be the light for them and change the narrative that we have to be in debt. And we don't. And so like, even for right now, I'm looking forward to the next chapter of my life, because not paying interest and I'm going to pay up that 20K. And I already have a game plan. If you guys want to know what that game plan is, leave it in the comments below. I really believe that we enjoy the benefit of our past actions. The last 2 years were very hard for me, but like right now, I'm paying premium gas and I'm not like dying. I'm not crying. I'm not like struggling. I'm literally flourishing. I'm excelling in every aspect of my life. I'm not like, I don't feel like I have to work for a living. I work because I enjoy what I do. And so like, I really placed myself in a position where that I feel free. And it really is truly your freedom, because you learn how to tell people no. You learn how to be content. You learn how to be happy with what you have. So I'm sharing my story so you guys, because I really want to like just share what it's like to be debt-free, and being debt-free and starting your debt-free journey at like what, 26, and you know enjoying the fruit of your labor at 27. It's just crazy. And so that we can build more Black wealth, we can build more, we can build more generational wealth. We can empower more Black people. We can empower more people of color to live their best lives debt-free without worrying about the stress. They can retire early if they want to. And so yeah, this is just my story and this is my journey. And please, if you really like this, leave a comment below if you have questions. If you want me to talk about something that you think that you want me to expand on, leave a comment below, and subscribe if you really found this helpful so I can be encouraged to create more content. My goal is to bridge the gap and remove that gap between, us and financial literacy. And I just want to empower people to take control of their personal finance and be the best version of themselves, and also live their dream life. Because you can regardless of where you come from, you can live your dream life.